Hi everyone, this is Arvind here. Welcome to my channel. In this channel, we'll talk about various cloud native softwares, their features and use cases. We'll also do a demo at the end so that you can get a good feel of the software. If you are interested in Prometheus and Alert Manager using Docker, go check out my previous videos. I'll actually link them in the description as well. In today's video, let's talk about logging. The maintainers of Prometheus and Cortex created this amazing logging tool called Loki. We will be looking at its feature set, various deployment methods, and jumping into setting up Loki along with Grafana to visualize the logs. Before we get into it, in case you want to jump ahead in the video, I have timestamps in the description below. Let's take a look at its features here. Loki is a horizontally scalable and highly available log aggregation system inspired by Prometheus. It is designed to be cost effective and easy to operate. The way it's cost effective is they try to index only a set of labels instead of indexing all the contents of the logs. Loki has a very powerful query language called LogQL. One of the ways they can make these queries really quick is by scaling out the query or component and splitting them into smaller queries and parallel process these for a faster response. There are different ways you can deploy Loki. One is the single binary setup, which you can use for POCs or a small lab setup. The other one is a distributed setup or a microservice setup in Kubernetes with various components like ingesters, distributors, queryers, and they scale up really easily in Kubernetes. I'd highly recommend this setup for larger environments which get gigs and gigs of data per minute. The third and newest way of deploying Loki is the simple scalable method, which actually scales out only the read and the write components easily and does not worry about the complexity of different components of Loki. And this is the actual setup we're going to take a look in the demo section. Alright, so let's talk about my setup. I have two Ubuntu hosts in AWS. Minimum requirement is one, but I'm trying to mimic an actual production setup where you have Loki installed in one server and then you have multiple Docker containers in different hosts which are sending logs to Loki itself. So that's my setup here. Okay, let's jump onto the repo here and do a git clone. I already have the repo downloaded, so I'm just gonna go into the repo, go into Loki, and then Docker. This is the Docker compose file, and we have two Loki services, Loki read and Loki write, and we're mapping the specific config file as well. We also have Minio, which is our S3 compatible storage. We're running Grafana as well. This is a gateway component which is used as a front end for read and write tier. Now the Loki config is pretty much the default except for this section where we specify the S3 endpoint, which is Minio. In case you want to hook it up to S3, you will have to change this particular config. Let's take a look at the Promtail config. Promtail config has the destination URL to Loki. It also has two scrape jobs. One is syslog, the other one is Docker for scraping those specific logs. Let's run the docker compose command. Docker-compose, and then we'll specify the file as well with the -f, and then we'll run it in the background. So now you see we have all the containers running. One is the Loki read and the Loki write, as well as Grafana, Nginx, and Minio, which is the S3 backend. We also have Promtail running, which is the agent that scrapes the metrics. So now that the containers are up, we can actually hit Grafana, which is at that IP address, the public IP address :3000. If you are running it locally, you can use localhost :3000. After that, if you go look at the data sources, we have Loki added as a data source already. That's part of our Docker compose file. You can go and hit explore and take a look at the log browser. The log browser actually helps you to query using LogQL because LogQL is not as straightforward. So it's easy way to just hit different fields or labels and then you can specify a particular label. So for example, your job equals Docker we're going to do a show here. This actually pulls all the Docker logs locally running on this box. I'm going to also run the Promtail agent on the other box. Alright, let's run the docker compose command with the specific docker compose file. Alright, let's take a look. Okay, the container is running. The next thing we are gonna do, we are actually gonna send some nginx logs as well. So I'm gonna spin up an nginx container. So docker run nginx and then port 8080. So now if I go IP and then :8080, it should be the nginx container. Now if we go to the log browser and if we go look at the instance, we actually have two instances. This is because the config actually specifies that this is a Promtail instance. You can also look at a few things that Loki exposes out of the box. 3100/write/metrics. So this shows all the metrics for the write in Prometheus format, and then we can do the same for the read metrics as well. It also exposes something called as the ring. If you have multiple instances of read or write running, you can use the ring to make sure the status of all the instances are good. Now for the rockstar feature of this simple scalable model, which is actually scaling the instances. So we're gonna run the docker compose command again, specify the file, and then you can actually specify -- scale flag that will scale up the instances. So now I'm gonna be like really conservative and just scale up the write instances. So here we have 2 write instances and 1 read instance. That is it for the demo today. If you did enjoy that video, hit that like and subscribe button and let me know in the comment section below. See you in the next video.